I get approval of the agenda, please?
So move.
Second.
All right, roll call vote.
Commissioner Incy,
Yes.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Sudich,
Yes.
Commissioner Urbina,
Yes.
Chairman Wilsey.
Yes. And I see Commissioner Urbina, since we're still on the Zoom platform, you're able to make it with us here tonight. I'm assuming you'll be able to make it next time, possibly too. All right.
If it's on Zoom, I can be here. Yep.
All right. Sounds good. We got any other absences coming up from anybody? All right. Any communications to the board?
Just one, the district received a thank you card from a family that was affected by a recent house fire.
Very good. Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the March 23rd meeting?
So move.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Incy,
Yes.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Sudich,
Yes.
Commissioner Urbina,
Yes.
Chairman Wilsey.
Yes. How about some voucher approvals?
Oh, boy. I'll move that we approve the vouchers as outlined in the agenda. Accounts payable, payroll, and ACH payroll transfer totaling $2,297,385.56.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Incy,
Yes.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Sudich,
Yes.
Commissioner Urbina,
Yes.
Chairman Wilsey.
Yes. All right. Any local 3390 reports tonight? All right. Seeing none, takes us to Chief's report. I think we got a couple items.
Yeah, thank you. Just a few things to go over. First, last Thursday and Friday, we the ACs, myself and Tanya, went on a 2-day luxurious trip to Fox Island Fire Station and did a little team building and got to know each other a little bit better. Worked on just as a team, how what we're going to do, some of our goals that are coming up, and we're excited about that. I also will be bringing you in the next few months. I'm looking at some different companies to give us some bids on some leadership and some team development for not just myself and our team, the department, and also for us as a team as commissioners. So I'll bring that over the next few months to have you look at, but I'm going out to ask some companies to give us some bids on that. The city asked for support of some infrastructure projects, and I ran it by Commissioner Wilsey, and it seemed pretty a good way for us to support the city on these infrastructure projects. So I did send a letter to Congressman Kilmer of support. This week, I also met with the mayor, spent some time with him, talked about ways that we can partner with the city and work together. It was a really good meeting, and he's going to invite me to some council meetings. So I'm looking forward to that. We have, as you know, a public information request that has come forward. It's about me, so I have stayed out of it. Chief Bernstrom has been working with legal to fulfill that, and I know it's due this week sometime. And when he sends that out, he'll also CC you and myself to see that public information request. I've removed myself because it was about me. We have 7 recruits that started this Monday. It's pretty exciting. I speak to them Thursday, get to know them, just spend a few hours with them, setting expectations and welcoming them to the department. We have 4 laterals that will start in July. and we're excited about all of our new recruits. I am putting on a department-wide class that everybody in the department will be coming to, one session in the morning and one in the afternoon, starting in 2 weeks, just to give high-level expectations of what I expect and how to deliver customer service. The class is pretty easy. Here it is. Be nice. Treat others with respect and kindness. So you just got the class shortened. I sent out a video to you of the International Public Safety Data Institute. We're still looking at them. They've sent us a request for proposal. Next Monday, we have a guy named David Blankenship coming to town. He's going to spend the day with the command staff and with me and looking at our department and trying to evaluate some of our data needs and give us some recommendations. So I'm excited about that. Next Thursday and Friday, I'll be attending the collective bargaining and arbitration contract put on by LIRA with Local 3390 next week. And I will be out of town next weekend. A friend of mine, some of you might know him, Ricky Walsh, he's a firefighter. His wife passed away with cancer, so I'm going to be heading to her service next weekend. And like I said, I get the keys to my house today, so we're excited to be all in here. My wife should be here coming from Boise later this week. That's all I have, unless anybody's got some questions for me.
Nope, good news, exciting day, get the keys to the house. Did Chief Johnson have a COVID report at all tonight, or?
Yes, sorry. I think he's next.
All right, perfect. Anybody else have anything for Chief Doan? All right, very good. Let's get the big bad COVID report. See what's going on. Rolling back to phase 2, so I hear.
All right, good evening. Yeah, Commissioner Wilsey, you know the game. So I'll go through some things and we'll get to it. As of today, the greater Gig Harbor area had 1,284 confirmed cases with 25 deaths. The county's up to 41,000 cases. Today, our case rate per 100,000 actually dropped to 201.3. So that's important because we were moved back to phase 2 because we were over 200. We were over by a few, and the number's going down because it's a 14-day average moving forward. So we'll go back to phase 2 on Friday. A few changes. It drops kind of the ability for people to gather from 50% of a room occupancy to 25. A few other minor changes, but generally that affects greatly the restaurants and outings. So that'll happen on Friday, and then they'll relook at it again, along with Pierce County, Whitman County, and Eastern Washington and Cowlitz County also dropped. Gig Harbor Fire, a few updates. We have a few members dealing with various levels of potential COVID infections or kind of coming off their quarantine and testing out. We've been, over the last few weeks, been providing paramedics to some mass vac sites out on the coast. That comes through as a state mobilization request, and we've been filling those as we could. We also have one member deployed to the FEMA mass vac site that's in Yakima, and he's working as in operations over there. Vaccine-wise, lots of news kind of happening today. State of Washington, Pierce County, has delivered just over 395 doses of vaccine in the county, right at 40,000 delivered in the last week. More and more mass vac sites are taking place. We had one Friday out here at Chapel Hill. And in essence, there's one scheduled at Chapel Hill for the next 3 more months, as well as, the hospitals are still doing them. Appointments are opening. And that, so today, Johnson & Johnson vaccine is being pulled back for some more review. Worldwide, there's been, or in the US, there's been 6.8 million doses delivered. And in essence, we're looking at 6 reactions from blood clotting. 1 person has died, 1's in the hospital, but they're relooking at all that data and seeing if they're missing something. So that's kind of the big news. We've had a few people in the department receive the vaccine, and as probably you have or haven't maybe, I've just provided that information out to everybody in the department, as well as specifically those people that I know of that received Johnson & Johnson. So we'll just keep an eye on that. And moving forward, we'll do everything we can to support those mass vac sites and getting people the vaccine if they wish to receive it. Any questions of me? All right, that's the end of my report, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. All right. Anything left with Chief's report, Chief Doan? We got it all covered, I think.
I think Dan, no, that was later. So no, I think that is all.
All right. We'll move into standing committee reports. I think we had the audit to report out on.
We do, and I believe Chief Bierstum has a report for us.
Happy to fill you in. Our 2018-2019 audit is complete. I want to thank Danette for her work producing our financial statements and also working as the primary liaison with the state auditor's office. We routinely get comments about her professionalism and the good working relationship that she has. We received a clean audit. Our financial statements were found to be fairly representative or to fairly represent our financial condition. The auditor did find some areas for improvement, though. These errors were in the area of classification, some beginning and end of year balances, and also reconciliations with the county reports. But as I said, none of these were considered to be material or misleading. A couple of things we've done to shore up the process and to improve it. One is we have hired an outside consultant who's helping us with some training and report preparation. We also have, because I've realized part of the issue is this is a big job, and having one person do it was probably not reasonable. So we're increasing to 2 the team that creates our report, and then we're also increasing the team that does the review work. So those are a few changes that we're making to lean into continuous improvement. In addition, we received a recommendation to adopt a more detailed procurement policy, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in new business. Cost of the audit was a little over $17,000. Because of our size, we are moving to an annual audit. So we'll be hosting the state auditor's office again towards the end of this year and doing the audit for the 2020 year. So we'll look forward to that. Actually, our team thinks that the annual audit may in fact be easier for us. Are there any questions?
I'm just going to throw out a comment, and this is a compliment to the staff and to Chief Bierstum. They expect perfection, and you're not going to get perfection in an audit run by the state. It's close to impossible. And I love that that's their bar, and I'm so proud of them and how they handled this and the whole audit, and they did a wonderful job. I just want you commissioners to know that they did a really, really good job. Thank you.
It's very kind. Thank you.
All right. If we don't have any other questions, any other standing committee reports tonight? I don't believe there is. All right. Any old business to come before the board tonight? Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. Looks like we have a resolution to surplus some equipment. Or while we're waiting, I think we got, yeah, Chief Black, I believe, is filling in for Chief Watson.
Can you hear me? I don't know that you can see me.
Yep, we can hear you. Chief, go ahead.
All right. Thank you, sir. Yes, I'm filling in for Chief Watson. I'm sorry, I've got no video. Just real quickly, I am presenting to you Resolution 2021-07, the surplus of equipment. You have an Appendix A, which shows that equipment. Probably the biggest piece of equipment is we are retiring our old air truck. And as a 1976 F750 utility box, and we have a brand new air truck that most of you are probably familiar with. It's stationed up at 56. So we're ready to surplus the old truck and a number of other items that honestly are just things we've kind of cleaned up from the shop, and just trying to make us a little bit more efficient and create a little bit more room as we've got more people working up at the shop. So this list of items is things that the district does not use and are not items that we want to hold on to anymore. And we will take those to the Stokes auction and get what money we can for them. So I would like to ask that you would approve Resolution 2021-07 for the surplusing of this equipment that the department no longer is using.
So moved.
I'll second. But Jason, I have one question for you. With the old air truck, are we also getting rid of the actual air compressor portion, or are we hanging on to that, just out of curiosity?
Absolutely. Great question, Bryce. We are holding on to that. And in fact, it is the same type of air compressor that is in our current air truck. And we have an air compressor that we have had for many, many years up at Station 51. And we are going to take that one and take it out of service and put this air compressor in its place so that we have a newer compressor, and it's also like the same one that we have on the air truck. So making us more efficient that way.
All right, very good. We got a motion on the floor. Let's do a roll call vote for Resolution 2021-08.
Commissioner Incy,
Yes.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Sudich,
Yes.
Commissioner Urbina,
Yes.
Chairman Wilsey.
Yes, and my mistake, that was 2021-07. All right, moving on to the next one, 2021-08. I think we got Chief Bierstrom here to speak to this one.
Yes, thank you. So as a part of our, there we go. So as a part of our audit, there was a recommendation that we upgrade our procurement policy. Our current policy is rather straightforward and just requires that we follow state law and state bidding guidelines. So based on that, I reached out to council and got a pattern form that we modified to meet our current practices. I was able to get a review by our logistics Chief Watson to make sure he was good with it. So with those two things in place, we've prepared this policy for you. It is not time sensitive. So if the board doesn't wish to adopt it tonight, it's not going to cause any problem. But it will move us forward and be a little more specific than our prior policy.
Has everybody had a chance to review it, or do we want to take another next meeting until we make a vote on this?
I read it, Alex. Looked good to me.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty straightforward. I'd like to make a motion, we adopt 2021-08.
Second.
All right, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner NC,
Yes.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Sudich,
Yes.
Commissioner Urbina,
Yes.
Chairman Wilsey.
Yes. All right, that takes us to, I believe Commissioner Sedich wanted to talk about the organizational chart a little bit here, kind of tee something up for our thoughts.
Okay, bear with me just for a few moments here. I'm going to take you back 10 years ago, almost to the day. Chief John Burgess was appointed the chief, and that board at the time directed him to be the face of this district, go forth in the community and county and possibly even the state. The board 10 years ago wanted him to utilize his people skills and talents to the benefit of this district. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, and it wasn't his fault, and it wasn't even the board's fault. We were in a financial crisis. As chairman at the time, Chief Burgess inherited some situations that were difficult, to say the least. So let's bring it forward to now without going any further back than 10 years. Let's come forward now. And here's my vision and my request to the board, that we consider having 2 deputy chiefs, one on the what I consider business side and one on the ops side, to be determined what divisions go where. That I think we'd leave it up to Chief Doan. The reasoning for that is we're headed into a period of time in the next couple of years, be it ballot measures, be it different issues coming at us, that are going to, in my opinion, the chief is going to have to stay focused on those. Unfortunately, 10 years ago, every 5 minutes was 5 minutes, somebody was coming through Chief Burgess's door and constantly distracting. And that went on up until about 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, and things finally settled down. I think we have the opportunity at this time to, frankly, enable Chief Doan to concentrate on moving forward with this district, where I would assume, and that's an assumption, that we're going to probably have a ballot measure in the not too distant future. Also, with this virus situation, Chief Doan is in a bit of a interesting situation. He's not really able to meet people eyeball to eyeball. Chamber breakfast, Rotary, what have you. All of this is on Zoom, and which makes it difficult for him to make these personal network contacts. I think that's important. I think the more that our chief gets out in that community, not just Gig Harbor, but Pierce County, and hopefully with time, because I know the chief's background, even in up to and including at the state level, all that will benefit District 5. What I'm looking for from the board today is not an up and down vote by any means, but what I would look for is to task the chief and his staff with bringing forward at the next meeting what a organizational chart would look like as far as with 2 deputy chiefs. all of you know I'm not the greatest speaker, so I'm not going to go any farther. I think I've given you my vision and my thought and my rationale as far as why I feel this way. And I'm going to be brutally honest. I know I shared this with Commissioner Nelson one time, that the fact that it didn't work out the way the board wanted with Chief Burgess is probably the biggest regret that I'll take when I leave this district in the not too distant future. I hope you don't mind me saying that, Bryce. So if anybody has any questions with me, I don't think we need to take a vote. Chairman Wilsey, maybe just a nodding of heads. I would personally like to see some type of org chart come forward reflecting the two deputy chiefs at the next meeting.
All right, Commissioner Yancey's got something. Go ahead.
Tom, I'm glad you added your last piece there, because for a minute there, I was almost thinking we were kind of going over Chief Stone's, or going by him a little bit in regards to that. But I think Chief Stone has a lot on his plate right now, coming in new like he is. And while he has quite a bit of experience, background, contacts, my feelings, I have no qualms about looking where our department, if our department both functioning, pay wise, our budget wise, and where we're at right now, if two deputy chiefs is something that we really do need at this particular time. But if Chief Stone and his staff can look at things and bring us a report in regards to it, I have no issues with that. But I think there's a lot on the plate right now for him and staff, and I'd hate for some of those things, which I think may be a little bit more important, maybe get interrupted because of this. So I think we should leave it up to Chief Stone and the staff and where their time frame is, and if they have the time to address this particular situation right now.
I raised my hand in Zoom. I'm trying to be the polite student. So Tom, I know, I remember you and I having that conversation, and I totally appreciate your perspective. And I think that it was an unfortunate confluence of circumstances with respect to the recession that put John in the position he's in. I agree with Kevin. I mean, I think what we hired Dennis to be the chief, and I think what we need to do is trust him to, if he decides that there's a need for reorganization, I'm open to that. But I think that that's something that we need to kind of let breathe a little bit. And I don't think that the next meeting is enough time for us to sort through that. I also think that we're going to have some retirements this year. And at that point, like Kevin said, once Chief Doan gets his feet wet and kind of has a better handle on what his perspective is and what he thinks would be good, bad, or otherwise with respect to an org chart, I would expect him to bring that to us, and I would expect us to be open to that. I just don't want to put pressure on the admin team to come up with something in 2 weeks. I just don't think that that's enough time. So I'm open to the prospect of it. I just think that we need to really let that process breathe and let that come more from Chief Doan than from us.
Chairman Wilsey.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think we all have to remember that, one, we don't get involved with operations, but we do approve any organizational chart. And my whole purpose here in amending, so to speak, the org chart is not to push Chief Doan into anything. We've, in previous org charts, we had a deputy chief position that was never filled, but it was there. And then we took it out. So the org chart has always been a fluid thing. What I'm looking at is not who's going to be where. That is up to the chief. I'm looking at from 10,000 feet saying, this is what the board agrees to. It's up to the chief when and if he institutes this. Again, we've had a deputy chief position that was never filled in the past. But I think if we sit on our hands, frankly, the longer it takes, the longer it's going to take, so to speak. And that's the reason, and it's a personal thing with me. There's no question about it. I don't want to happen to Chief Doan what ended up happening to Chief Burgess. We have the opportunity here to set this thing in motion at Chief Doan's. He can handle it any way he wants. He doesn't have to fill positions. That's his choice. But I think we have to at least have the basic framework to say, Chief, if you want to go this way, here it is. Here's the plan. That's my whole purpose here. And that's my purpose, frankly, for wanting a basic org plan at the next meeting, frankly, because it's not going to be that difficult. I mean, we're talking the business side and the ops side, and there's a little bit of question of maybe a division, which way it would go. So we're not talking massive rocket science here. So my preference would be to task the chief through his staff to bring forward, at least for discussion, so we can look at it. And so this thing doesn't get dust. What I'm trying to do, and Kevin is right, and I understand that there's a lot on his plate, but I'll guarantee you one thing: when you got people coming through your door every few minutes, that plate doesn't get empty because you can't concentrate. We've got to allow people to do their jobs, so to speak, without having to run into the chief's office all the time. That's my whole purpose here. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
All right, moving on, open public comment. State your name for the record. You'll have 3 minutes.
Point of order, Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Are we or aren't we going to task the chief and his staff with bringing forward some kind of organizational plan? That doesn't mean there's going to be but something to look at the next meeting, just for conversation.
I don't think we need a motion. I think Chief Doan understands between our conversation here tonight and what we had yesterday. He should have a good clue of what we are looking for from him. So, unless you want to make a motion to task him with that.
No, as long as I understand that the next meeting will have some type of basic organizational chart to look at and to discuss. Chairman, did you
Yes.
tell me to shut up or the dog?
I was yelling at the dogs. Don't worry,
okay.
it wasn't you.
I wasn't sure if you were telling me to shut up because I can read your
No.
lips. Trust me. Thank you. I'm good.
All right. So back to open public comment. Anybody in the audience wishing to state anything tonight in front of the board?
I'd like to hear some more from your dog personally, but you know.
No, see, it worked, right? Now, if I could only say that to Tom and have it work.
No public comment.
All right. Any good of the order tonight?
So I just wanted to say, with Johnson's conversation about phase 2, I just encourage everybody, there are vaccines available, there are vaccine sites available. Like, I think everybody needs to take advantage of that, especially starting this Thursday. Everybody over 16 is going to be eligible. And I think that's how we get to a better place as a community. So I just encourage everybody to do that.
Yeah, I think with the kind of the floodgates opening up on Thursday, those that have ever wanted a vaccine, their opportunities now, and get on the helpful tools from Department of Health and find your appointment and get there and get vaccinated. So good message. All right. Any special interest upcoming events? Hearing none, our next regular meeting will be Tuesday, April 27th at 5 p.m. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.